This is from Matthew 14:13 through 21, starting at 13. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here to me," he said, and he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides the women and children. Thanks be to God.
Thank you, Randy. All right, let's give it up for Matthew. He mentions the women and children, right? I mean, we've been listening to all these different versions, and Matthew is the one who finally mentions women and children. So way to go, Matthew. So I've been thinking a little bit today, all week really, I guess all my life. What made Jesus tick? I mean, what was it about Jesus that made people follow him, right? Listen to him, change their lives because of him? Was it the miracles, the healings? Was it the parables? In seminary, I had a systematic theology professor named Schubert Ogden, who I would have went to war with. I just was in love with everything he said about process theology. I mean, but one day he looked our class in the eyes, and he said something that forever changed the way I saw Jesus, because I think before that I just saw Jesus in the past, but that was not the way he saw Jesus. And here's what he said: in Jesus, our Christ, we encounter, not encountered, we encounter both the gift and the demand of God. And what he called God was pure, unbounded love. So let me put that together. When we look Jesus in the eye, when the disciples looked Jesus in the eye, when Zacchaeus looked Jesus in the eye, when we now look Jesus in the eye, we encounter not just Jesus the prophet, not just Jesus the healer, not just Jesus the historical figure that Marcus Borg writes about, but Jesus the Christ, the one in and through whom we encounter both the gift and the demand of pure, unbounded love. A lot of people don't like the demand part. They change it to challenge a little easier, right? Jesus Christ was and is an existential moment in time. And when we encounter that Christ, wherever we do, that Christ event, we encounter both a gift and a demand or a challenge. Now, if you're like me, those are probably just words, pretty words maybe, put on paper, but they don't really hit you, right? What was Schubert Ogden trying to say? Can you put it into some sort of simpler terms here? Well, I've been reading a book by Stephen King called 11, period, 22, period, 63. Anybody know what that is? 11, 22, 63. Assassination, you're right. Yes, The Assassination of John F. Kennedy by Lee Harvey Oswald, if you believe, most people. There's a lot of theories out there. The whole book is really a time travel thriller. It's a great book. I mean, and it's a good listen. I listened to it. It's 30 hours, so it's a long listen on Audible, on a faster speed too. But in one of the chapters, this beloved librarian in a school dies of cancer. And at her memorial, they read a little bit from Proverbs 31. You may know this passage. It's a kind of the ideal woman in biblical times. Now listen, it's in biblical times, so it's all related to the husband here. But listen to what Proverbs 31, some of it says. A woman of strength, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. Okay, remember, this is back there, right? I mean, women have more than just serving their husbands here. Now, I hope. But at the eulogy of this librarian, here's what they wrote. And I thought it was just so beautiful, I wanted to share it. Friends, family, and fellow travelers, on this great and terrible road, I stand here today not to mourn a life lost, but to celebrate a life lived with a quiet purpose that rivaled the strength of any hero and any thousands of books she so carefully kept. Your friend was a librarian, yes, but that title does not fully encompass who she really was. The scriptures tell us of a woman of noble character, worth far more than rubies. Tonight, I think we can see the truth of those words in her. The book of Proverbs speaks of a woman who works with willing hands and provides food for her household. Our friend did not seek wool and flax, but she worked diligently instead with paper and ink, providing for her community's household of knowledge. With a quiet, steady hand, she built a garden of wisdom for us all to tend and harvest. She didn't offer loud proclamations or easy answers, but a patient guidance toward the right source. She trusted in the power of a story to heal and to teach and to inspire. Her instruction was faithful because it wasn't her wisdom she offered, but the gathered, enduring wisdom of all the ages. I think Stephen King was trying to say, what he was trying to say, was that we can never truly understand a person, but by just seeing a title and witnessing what a person does on the outside with their wool and their flax, so to speak. That the garden someone keeps isn't just the one that's on the side of their yard, but that the more meaningful garden they keep is the one they weave and create when people look into their eyes and their hearts. The ones they create with the words not spoken, but the acts of kindness lived. Jesus, if I could say this right, had a way of seeing you and has a way of seeing you that was different. And some people, when I say that, translate it like this. Jesus could look you in the eyes to see at the very core of who you were. His eyes cut through all the patina, through the bull crap of our lives, all the ways we cover up and hide, and see us the way we really are. And when people hear that, they translate it that Jesus knows the truth about us, and that the truth about us stinks. And we should be fearful of this Jesus, because truthfully, we can't handle the truth.
Do yourself in contempt.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Jack Nicholson probably has it right. But I don't think that's what most people experienced or experience now when they meet Jesus, or Jesus meets them and looks into their eyes. I think Jesus saw past that to an even deeper truth and place. Usually when we think people can see into our souls, we think that people see only our messed up, crazy, dark life. But I feel that Jesus looked beyond that to who you really are and who he really knew you were. Look at Jesus. People didn't run from him. They ran to him. Why? Why would they do that? When Jesus looked into their eyes, they didn't feel like he was saying everything that was wrong in them. Let's take Zacchaeus, for instance. The dude was trouble. I mean, he was not a good man, really, right? I mean, that's the way we look at him. He was a tax collector. He was cheating people. But why would he have given what he gave back fourfold? What he had stolen from the people of Israel, he would have just, if Jesus would have looked at him in fear, he would have just given what he owed. And he wouldn't have done it in joy. And he did do it in joy. He didn't give back in fear. He didn't give back to cover up his big dumper, and it was pretty big, I might add. He gave back fourfold because he, in Jesus' eyes, had seen a new life for him. He had found something he had never found before. And I believe it was something he found when he allowed Jesus past the patina and into his home, into his spiritual garden, into his heart, into his vulnerable places. You see, when Jesus looked him into Zacchaeus' eyes, he didn't just see what was wrong. Jesus saw beyond that, deeper than that, to where he was strong. He saw what was good in Zacchaeus yet. He didn't see a past that needed to be punished, but a future that needed to be liberated and set loose. He saw strengths deep down there, gifts deep down there, possibilities no other human could see. Jesus didn't see what was wrong, what was weak, but instead he looked deeper than that to a fountain we all have. We all have in our hearts a fountain that could not, would not, and will not be destroyed. Paul talks about it in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. Have any of you ever heard of something called ABCD? I'm really into this right now, so watch out. I'm a big advocate of this group. It's called Asset-Based Community Development. And one of the things they believe is that a lot of times people who want to help actually go into a community and cause harm. Why? Because they go into that community not believing they have any gifts. They believe that they're broken, that everything they see is wrong. And so they go in there trying to fix it, and they become what? Saviors, which feeds their egos. That is not helping that community. They want to go in, this group of ABCD, Asset-Based Community Development, they want to go in and look at that community and help them realize their strengths, the gifts they have, uncover them, right? Look beyond the wrong to the strong. Let's listen just for this video. It talks about an old man named Robin. And just listen to this.
In his mid-70s when he first came in contact with a community builder that we trained in Leeds. He had just lost his wife, and he was experiencing all of the challenges and the traumas that you experience with bereavement. But the community builder that engaged with Robin didn't just listen to those emotions, though she listened. She also asked Robin what his passions were, what he cared about enough to act upon, what made his eyes dance in his head. And what Robin said when she asked those questions was, he was passionate about making walking sticks. That was his great passion, taking branches from fallen trees and carving them into walking sticks. Today, Robin is a leader of a group that he set up, made up of all age groups, who are learning how to make walking sticks and sharing those walking sticks with people in the community. The significance of the story is this: Robin is not a client in a service. Robin is a citizen at the center of his community, using his gifts along with the gifts of his neighbors to make a better community and a more inclusive community. So often when we label people as vulnerable or as deficient or as problematic, what we actually do is we define them out of community and redefine them not as friend and as neighbor, but as client in a service system. And I think that when we do that, we take some of the soul away from the person, all in the name of helping them.
Did you hear that? I mean, it's so true. How many times do we see an elderly person and think of all their needs and we just need to rush in and serve them? And yet, maybe the better thing to do is look at them and see what still dances in their eyes and try to help that dancing happen and get them connected to community instead of removing them from community. I just love this line. She listened for what made his eyes dance in his head, right? Wow. What would happen, Bear Creek, if we were that kind of church? If we looked at people who came into this door, looked at some of our, quote, clients and turned it around and instead looked for their gifts and for the strengths that they have. How would that change their life if we saw them as gifts, always as gifts, until their last breath as a gift for us? Let me bring it back one more time to that great book by Stephen King, 11/22/63. Right at that end of the memorial service, there's a poem that they read, and I want to share it with you. We did not ask for this room or this music. We were invited into it. Therefore, because the dark surrounds us, let us turn our faces toward the light. Let us endure hardship to be grateful for plenty. We have been given pain to be astounded by joy. We have been given life to deny death. We did not ask for this room or this music, but because we are here, let us dance. Ted Kuykendall's in hospice. Probably not going to live that long. But when we go see him, can we see him as gift? Still giving to us until his last breath? Can we look for the dance in his eyes? Because let me tell you, that man dances. And can we dance that same joy? And all the people said,